Hi everyone, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi as we take a look at Tropical Storm Isaias as it's moving northeast at 20 miles an hour, and top winds are 70 miles an hour. It did briefly become a hurricane before making landfall in the Carolinas last night, near the North Carolina South Carolina state line. And now, of course, the story for today is the heavy rains that will occur along and west of the track of the center of this storm, and the very strong winds that we're going to see east of that track. And it's going to be a fast 4 to 6 hours of really rough weather. So bear that in mind. It comes very quickly, and depending on where you are, you may have already started to see the beginnings of this. If you're in Northeast Virginia on up into southern New England, there's a wide range of weather conditions that are occurring, but they're going to change fast, and once it's done, it's going to improve relatively quickly. So I'm going to start with the radar. This is at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and the center looks to be right in southeastern Virginia. There's very little going on the south side, and you can see where the heavy rains are in northeastern Virginia, over the state of Maryland, northern Delaware, southeastern Pennsylvania, and we've got the back edge of the rain through central PA. Meanwhile, the eastern flank runs from western Massachusetts, northwest Connecticut, to just north and west of New York City, down to about Trenton and into southwesternmost New Jersey. So that kind of tells you where this thing is going to go. Just watching the movement here, this is a line that I actually drew last night as far as the track was concerned before it made landfall, and it's really kind of sticking right to it. So if you are west of that red line, your story today is heavy rain on the order of 4 to maybe as much as 6 inches. If you're east of that line, you're going to get far less in the way of rain, but you are going to be dealing with the wind. And just take a look here. You see this, what looks like this sort of a tail, that band that stands out from the Delmarva Peninsula out into the Atlantic. That's going to move its way northward. That will impact the areas east of the track. And it's out of this that we could see some rather strong thunderstorms and even the potential for some severe weather. So just bear that in mind as we go through the day. And here's the Hurricane Center's forecast track. So the arrival of gales. Now we've already seen gales have already arrived, seeing some gale force winds in parts of southern New Jersey and points southward, and we're going to go over that in a moment. And the winds will continue to increase this morning and into this afternoon. By 2 p.m., gales will have reached all of Long Island, and then after that, we're going to see those gales spread up into New England. And you see where the probability of the highest winds are, actually from about central Long Island to New York City and back across New Jersey. The probability of gales here is pretty close to 90 or 100%. So there are going to be some very strong winds for sure. And along the immediate coast of Long Island and New Jersey down into Delaware, we're going to see gusts to 60, 70, or maybe even 80 miles an hour. I think we're going to see some gusts to hurricane force out of this. I don't know what the top number is. I'm not really good at doing top numbers, but you get the idea. It's going to be windy. And you notice that the probability of gale force winds tails off considerably once you go west of the track where rain is the big deal. And here's the Weather Prediction Center's forecast. The areas in white are going to get under an inch of rain. So there's not going to be, unless there's a thunderstorm that really goes crazy, on the east side in a local area, there's not going to be any significant worries for flash flooding. But to the west, you see where the band is, 2 to 4 and 4 to 6 inches. South central Pennsylvania, down into Maryland, and even up into northeastern Pennsylvania, a few pockets of 4 to 6 inches, and a very large area of 2 to 4. Running from Virginia on up through eastern Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, on through the Catskills, and points northward. As the track has shifted a little bit further to the west over the last couple of days, the heavy rain area has also shifted out to the west. So I'm going to take a look here. We're going to look quickly at the HRRR model. That pretty much has a good handle on how this is all playing out. And you see that it arrives at Chesapeake Bay by about 10 or 11 o'clock this morning, and the heavy rain bands into southern New Jersey, and of course that really intense rain up into Maryland. In south central, southeastern Pennsylvania, 11 this morning, get into that really intense band of rain. And by 1 o'clock this afternoon, the low is going to be in southwest Jersey or over Delaware Bay. So at this point, gales have already spread up the coast. And here we are at 2 o'clock. Look how quickly this thing is moving. It goes from southern New Jersey at 1 o'clock, and all of a sudden it's in North Jersey by 2 o'clock. And if that's the case, you're going to see those rains come to an end pretty fast across southeastern PA, southern New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware. Most of those areas are going to be done by noon or 1 o'clock as far as the heavy rains are concerned. And then it just keeps on going. Your low center I think the model's probably just guilty there of doing a center jump where it wasn't necessarily true. So at 3 o'clock, we're seeing the low just west of New York City. By 4 o'clock, it's on the New York State, New Jersey line, and then running up the Hudson Valley north of Poughkeepsie, Kingston by 5 o'clock. And of course, you see all the heavy weather is shifting up to the north. Let me just give you a look here in terms of the total the winds. We're going to go do the winds on this model, and we're getting really strong inflow from the southeast. It's a very, very deep upper trough that's involved in all of this, and you see how the strong winds, those are sustained winds, and the red, the reddish brown, that's 40 to 50 knots of sustained winds. So you can easily see gusts of 60 to 70 out of that as the low goes by. And those gales spread to Long Island this afternoon. Of course, again, it's a 4 to 6 hour event. The winds inland are going to be less. There are going to be some gusts in inland areas, but they're going to be less than they will be at the coast. And then as the low moves up, the winds gradually diminish. And of course, weather improves fairly quickly behind it. And speaking of the wind, I'll just give you a profile here for 11 a.m. From the the Weather Service's digital forecast maps. And you see where the big winds are in southern New Jersey at 11 a.m. Leading edge of gales up to about Route 195 and down into parts of southeastern Pennsylvania, let's say mainly south of Route 78. And as we go through the afternoon, of course, this is at noon, you see those 50-knot winds starting to really push northward. By 1 o'clock. Those winds of 50 knots in gusts, 50 to 60 knots, reaching the south shore of Long Island. And even as we go through the afternoon, those winds are going to be gusting to 40 to 50 knots in inland areas in some places. So you see them here, a large area of 40 and 50 mile an hour wind gusts, I should say, back into western New Jersey. Big area of gusts of 50 to 60, even some gusts to 65. This is at 3 p.m. You start to see that large area begin to shrink a little bit, but at 4 p.m. from northeast New Jersey through all of Long Island, we're seeing gusts up 50 to 60 miles an hour or more. And then notice the back edge of this just sharply cuts off as we head into the evening hours, and the winds will drop fairly rapidly later this evening as this storm pulls away. So the bottom line is everything is going according to plan. The shift to the west means the heavy rain bands shift further west. West of the track, rain is the big issue with some wind. East of the track, rain is less of an issue with a big issue coming from the wind. So fasten your seatbelts for the bumpy ride that's coming, and we'll get through it, and then we'll move along and see improving weather conditions and look forward to a nice day on Wednesday. We'll have website posts throughout the day, and probably at some point today we'll do the Joe and Joe Weather Show live. Maybe we'll come on early afternoon, power working permitting. If the power goes down and there's no internet, then we can't do a show. So keep your fingers crossed. Have a great day, folks.